and bus shelters. Another 1.5 million people listened to and or downloaded our weekly conversations with African American climate experts. Our KBLA Climate Justice web portal had 2.8 million unique visitors. Thousands more attended our 7 climate justice community events. More than 9.3 million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains. And 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, our 2024 climate justice campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 climate justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
What is the world coming to? Seems like everyone is running from the truth. We just stand up and fight, walk into the night. We're the people, we can do it if we try. Somebody ask me, why do we have to go through it? It's just a test of our faith. What we're living day to day. We don't know where, we don't know when, but it's coming back again. Oh, yes, it is. It's made me. Oh, God, it's time for you to return. Oh, God, sing. I know. Time to make a change.
It is time to make that change. Welcome to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. We count it all joy that you are here with us today. Doc, we're going to be breaking down a few more things. I mean, that Tasmanian devil is working his heart out. We're going to be talking about the RFK Jr. confirmation hearing. It is all the rage. How President Trump gave 2 million federal workers an ultimatum. Basically, I'm about to buy you out. You got to leave. Goodbye. Hit the road, Jack, and don't come back. No more, no more, no more. And the latest about the freeze. They really fumbled the ball on that all the way, even freezing benefits for people who receive Medicaid. It was a spectacular failure. But before we get to any of that, the doctor's in the house. Dr. West, how are you doing today, and what is on your mind and your heart?
Well, I'm blessed to be in conversation with you because I was thinking about that Temptation song in 1970, Ball of Confusion. That's what the world is today. That's Barrett Strong. That's Norman Whitfield. Barrett just died 2 years ago yesterday. But he and Whitfield telling the truth, and that was 55 years ago. What was he talking about? The greed was out of control. What was he talking about? Unbelievable lies and crimes taking place. What was he talking about? Hard to find justice, hard to find fairness. And when I think of where we are right now, my dear sister, you know, you say to yourself, how do you gain a footing? Try to have access to some anchor in a moment in which we are bombarded, not just daily, but every 15 minutes, every half hour, every hour, with a policy based on lies and unfairness, with attacks and assaults on the vulnerable. And then to think, on the one hand, you know, you want to do away with DEI in the name of merit, and then you trot out these cabinet appointees who are beneath mediocrity. I mean, you can't even remember half of what the subject matter is, but what they're supposed to be advising and having control over, authority over. And this is true not just for Kennedy, it's true for so many of them across the board. It's just, you wonder whether there's there's an underground current of creating so much massive chaos that you can then bring in martial law. You can suspend the law in the name of the law in order to impose your will. And that's history of black folk in America. Slavery was legal. Right? So that to stay in contact with our humanity, we had to do something illegal, which is try to fight for freedom. When Garvey said, the world, America, has made being black a crime, I intend to make it a virtue. That's Marcus now. Marcus Garvey telling the truth. I may not agree with everything, but that brother, he's telling some truths on many occasions. And where we are now, you know, just to be poor, to be an immigrant, to be black and brown, to be trans, to be gay, to be lesbian, it's criminalized. I was listening to faculty meeting just a few minutes ago, and they were telling me about the sweeps taking place in Newark, where a number of them are citizens, but they just grabbing black and brown across the board. Ras Baraka, who is the mayor, of course, is the grandson of the great Tamiri Baraka, you know, and of course the wonderful sibling of our dear sister Dominique. You know, she's a truth teller on Tavis show early in the morning, same radio show that we're part of, Tavis Smiley, KBLA Talk 1580. And Ras Baraka was saying what? He said that they are just criminalizing across the board. So what we continually say day after day is, in this ball of confusion, don't let it get you down.
Yeah.
Don't let it get you down. You do have an anchor. You do have footing grounded in the history of resistance of your people. So that memory becomes now more crucial than ever, to be connected to those who came before that had to deal with earlier balls of confusion. And they were able to resist and, based on remembrance, have the kind of resilience that we need. But in order to keep track of so many of the details on the ground, it's almost impossible, because there's so many things going on that are just full of unbelievable contempt and cruelty. And
I think that's really what this administration wants. They want to wear people down. But the point that you said, that our memory is a must. Our memory becomes our way out of despair, our way to fight this thing through. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue this conversation.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Want to play a game with me and Dad? Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Light a candle, pour some wine. Grab a roll, the soft kind for a little me time. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear. Wavy edges for my rear. So let the softness caress your soul. Just relax, you're on a roll. Let her rip. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear.
Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear has the same softness you love, now with wavy edges that tear better than the leading one-ply brand. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
So happy that you come forward with us. For those of you who have missed any of our previous shows, please make sure that you download the KBLA Talk 1580 app, as well as wherever you get your podcasts, you can check us out. So, Dr. West, breaking news that President Donald Trump says he's directing the opening of a detention center at Guantanamo Bay to hold up to 30,000 migrants in the U.S. illegally. And, he keeps saying illegally. Now, they raiding folks. They have no way in that short span of time that just kind of round them up time to determine who's illegal and who is not. So this shock and awe is just really pure chaos. But that the Associated Press, breaking that. And so as we are piecing together this, there's a zeitgeist going on in this moment. We're trying to keep people elevated in this moment. But my goodness, is this person, making it continually hard to do so. My heart absolutely breaks for people who are getting caught up in this. And make no doubt, the way that they're doing this, there will be many people who are citizens of this country or here with a green card or, just legally here, who are going to get caught up in this. And once the genie is out of the bottle, it's kind of hard to undo what this man has done. And for the folks who support him and his efforts in this way, really shame on them, because what happens to one directly, quoting the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., happens to us all indirectly. There will be some blowback to this that I think people who believe that this is cute are not expecting. They talk a lot about us being a nation of laws, and we are. And what he is doing is wrong. Let us adhere to the immigration laws as they are now, and then do something in a very humane way, which will take this president and this Congress. But he does not seem willing to do anything in a humane way. And a lot of blame goes to previous administrations too. They don't have clean hands, and previous Congresses as well, because had they did their job, or had they concentrated on this in a way that got us to a better place, we would not be in this particular situation right now. I'm absolutely mortified. And not to say that we don't have a right to protect our borders. Let me not put an air quote to that. We have a right to set the rules. But once we set the rules, let's enforce those rules and play by those rules. And there's a way to do all of that humanely. I mean, as we know, over the years, a lot of the agents who are on the border talked about how there were not enough judges. And those were the types of people that would evaluate people, interview them as they were coming in, and then determine kind of like what lane they belonged in. Well, it got so bottled up that we did not have enough judges at the border. So I think that's one of the problems. And the other problem is when you have a cultural dynamic that continues to treat people as the other, you get this kind of cheering on of what Trump is doing. And then my other point is that there's a push and pull factor here, that the collective policies, the geopolitical policies of the United States of America must be examined, and what is our role in either pushing people to come or pulling them to come, because we have caused with other industrialized nations some type of disruption and or corruption in some of these countries where people are fleeing. And I know the average American is not keeping up with the geopolitics of this, but I just wanted to put that out there and for you and I to just vibe on that.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think so much of this has to do with the distraction. That once you zero in on vulnerable people, then you don't have time to target where the real power and greed and big money is. And it's interesting that Wall Street, not just the big money, but also the law firms, they've now accommodated themselves to Trump. Big tech, so-called magnificent seven, let's just call them the big seven, the gangster seven. They've all accommodated themselves to Trump. See, so that the focus is no longer on them and their greed. It's on these vulnerable folk that's trying to make their way in, given the levels of violence and poverty in their countries, and some of it attributable to U.S. foreign policies that have to do with corporate greed, that have to do with overthrowing democratic governments, supporting military coups. This is true in Honduras, Guatemala. We have histories of that, you see. And so what has happened is that once you zero in on the vulnerable and everything begins, everybody's supposed to focus on them. And people, and then they're told, Trump tells them, well, your crime rate's going to go down when we get rid of them. That's an illusion. Most of the crime that's committed in America is committed by native U.S. people. And I'm not just talking about the crimes on the ground that are physical, but we got crimes in Wall Street, crimes in the White House, crimes in high places that nobody says, for the most part, in mainstream media, a mumbling word about, you see. So that their crime is hidden and concealed, and we zero in on these particular criminal acts that some of the immigrants certainly did do, but the vast majority of immigrants have nothing to do with the crime that Trump and company and Stephen Miller and all these other gangsters are talking about. You see. So that truth, and of course we truth time here now. Truth just gets completely shattered. Truth ain't got nothing whatsoever to do with what's going on, because the whole effort is predicated on the efficacy of lies.
That's right. Yeah. And it's the efficacy of lies point that we really got to drive home. And I get the hurt, especially the economic pain that many working class Americans are feeling. I mean, 60%, as you and I both know, of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Inflation is still having an impact. This government, and not necessarily the Trump administration, but even previous to him, are allowing corporations to buy up homes and apartment buildings and those kinds of things at a rate so that they have a monopoly almost, and then they can drive up the cost of rents, which is going to hurt working class people when it comes to trying to find a home. Notwithstanding, the homelessness or unhoused rate has increased over the years before, let me put that, before the Trump administration.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
And it's probably going to continue through his administration. But people have to understand that there's always a connection, that something that triggered something that triggered something. None of these things, in other words, are in a vacuum. And so when you have this president celebrate, and to quote him, you know, he made the announcement just before he signed the immigration detention measure, which is the first law of his new administration. Let me put a pin in that. So instead of increasing the federal minimum wage, instead of having paid family medical leave, instead of shoring up parents with children, since they believe in families in terms of child care, you know, instead of doing those kinds of things, the first law of his new administration is this. Now, let me quote President Trump. We're going to send them out to Guantanamo, the president said in the White House East Room. He did not elaborate. The U.S. military base has been used to house detainees, as we all know, from the U.S. war on terrorism. So that, I mean, he's reveling in this, but not in the good things that he could be doing to tamp down suffering and pain.
I think it's amazing that the vicious crimes against humanity that has taken place in Guantanamo, and not one public official has been accountable. The very fact that they can invoke that space again with no attempt to come to terms with the crime of the scene at all. Now that just shows that as Gardner Taylor used to tell me and Brother Tavis when we would visit him in Raleigh, North Carolina, he said, I'm almost 80 years old, and I look at the wells of democracy and I see the poison in the wells getting higher and higher and higher. And then when they're in trouble, you think you can go back into the wells of democracy. And in fact, in that well, the poisons have become so overwhelming. Ain't got nothing to do with democracy, nothing to do with morality, nothing to do with truth, nothing to do with compassion. It's just outright gangsterized activity predicated on greed and hatred. And all you can say is we got to keep fighting, but there's going to be a blowback. God is not mocked. You're going to reap what you sow.
That's right. Karma is real. I mean, this is troubling, and I want folks to be troubled by this, even if you feel, I mean, yes, if an illegal immigrant commits a crime, I got it. People got their backs up
If
against.
anybody commits a crime,
but if anybody,
it ought to be accountable.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
We have laws for that.
That's
right. We already have laws. Exactly. I don't understand why some people are getting giddy over that and really believing that this is some type of strength. He's trying to be a strong man, and this is the way that he shows he's strong by bouncing on people who are already suffering. That doesn't show strength. That shows a lot of cowardice. Now, if you want to deal with immigration, let's deal with it.
That's right.
It's our right as a sovereign nation to set the rules. You'll never hear me say we can't. But what are the rules? And let's set the rules, and let's do it in a humane way. And while we're doing that, take account to our impact that we're having geopolitically in the world. And so I just wonder why more Americans, not just necessarily in this moment, but I just think generally speaking, the notion of geopolitics is for some people is like watching paint dry. It's like, what? But it definitely has an impact on this moment.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But Trump himself is such a criminal. Trump himself is such a violator of law and order. Not just with the legal process generating convictions and felonies, but there's a whole past that he has that's tied to all kinds of activity that would easily characterized as gangster and criminal. And you just have to be honest about that. And see, I don't say that out of any hatred of Trump, because I believe that everybody, can be a force for good if they choose. But if you choose to be a gangster, then you get called a gangster. And if you're a gangster in the White House, a gangster who runs the American empire, the gangster who's the most powerful person on the globe, you're still a gangster. And we have to be honest about that. And we see what happens when there's absolutely no accountability for gangster activity. This particular moment, ball of confusion, driven by the greed, driven by the contempt, driven by the hatred, and driven by the indifference. You just don't care about vulnerable people.
No, it's obvious. It was obvious even in the last administration in a different way, but still obvious. In the administration before that, still obvious.
That's true. That's why, like you said, it's a system. I mean, we saw it.
Yeah.
with Obama, we saw it with Biden, we saw it with Bush and so forth. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
And systems can be changed. They're not immutable. And we get stuck in believing that they can't be changed, but they can. We create systems, the collective we, meaning those we put in power. So that means that we can change them. They're not locked in forever. And that's hard to get people to see or to realize.
No, that's true. That's very true. And systems specialize in neutralizing any call for fundamental change.
That's a word.
They keep you so scared. They keep you so full of fear. And they keep you thinking that there's absolutely no alternative whatsoever than just caving in and selling out.
That's right. And that's the way the system likes it, though. Keep us scared, keep us confused, and keep us feeling powerless. And the us is the collective us. There comes times, though, when folks gather together and they shake the system.
That's right.
Abolition was such a time.
That's right.
The women's rights movement was such a time.
That's right.
The gay rights movement, such a time. You know, the labor movement, such a time. So there's these splash points where folks who are conscious minded and believe in justice and are willing to move forward, shake up the system so it has to be changed. And I'm telling you, Doc, I certainly believe that we are in a moment like that again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA 1580 Talk.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
I'm not driving you, man.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The White House says Trump's order freezing federal aid remains in full effect despite rescinding a related memo. A judge temporarily paused the order on Tuesday. A federal judge is allowing a lawsuit over Confederate school names in Virginia to proceed. The NAACP sued the Shenandoah County School Board after it reinstated the original names of Stonewall Jackson High and Ashby Lee Elementary. The judge ruled the renaming may violate the First and 14th Amendment. Black-owned companies are urging consumers not to boycott Target over its decision to end DEI programs, saying it would hurt their brands more than the retailer. Target aimed to feature 500-plus Black-owned brands by 2022, but has not commented on the boycott. And Thursday's iHeartRadio Fire Aid benefit concert in Inglewood supports Los Angeles wildfire recovery. Tickets are $99 with all proceeds aiding relief and prevention. Visit fireaidla.org for details. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Need better hot water? Water Heaters Only makes replacing your water heater easy. With one call and great pricing, Water Heaters Only can have you back in hot water the same day, within hours of your call. Visit waterheatersonly.com. That's waterheatersonly.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers will be without Anthony Davis for at least a week. An MRI exam Wednesday morning revealed AD has a strained abdominal muscle. He suffered the injury in the first quarter of the Lakers' loss Tuesday night at Philadelphia. AD will miss the next 3 games. During the Lakers' recent 4-game winning streak, AD was averaging 32 points, 15 rebounds, and shooting 58%. More troubling news for the Lakers. Head coach J.J. Redick drew criticism for playing Bronny James Tuesday night in Philly. Bronny's performance reinforced opinions that LeBron's son is not yet ready for NBA competition. In 15 minutes against the Sixers, Bronny missed all 5 of his shots and committed 3 turnovers. In 13 games with the Lakers, Bronny is shooting 1 for 16 and 0 for 7 on 3-pointers. The Lakers need to keep Bronny in the G League the rest of the season. He will not get any better sitting on the Lakers bench. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you, neighbor to neighbor,
bringing you resources and what you need to know. Sign up for Notify LA on your phone to get fire danger alerts and updates, or check on lafd.org. The Watch Duty app is free and provides wildfire maps and updates in real time. Keep your gas tank full and plan your route in case you have to leave the area. City and county officials are urging you to pack a go bag so you can be ready to leave your home quickly in case of an evacuation order. Your go bag should include a couple of days of clothing, copies of your important documents and ID, money, insurance information, your medications, electronic devices, batteries, chargers, a small radio, and emergency contacts. If you receive an evacuation order, gather your loved ones, grab your bag, your pet food, and leave immediately. For information on shelters for your pets or even your family, call 211 for the City of Los Angeles and 311 county-wide. Wearing a mask outside will help protect you from smoke, toxic fume, and particulate matter. If you don't need to go out, it's best to stay home with the windows closed. Getting to know your neighbors is a great way to stay safe, stay connected, and share resources. And Angelinos are stepping up to help, so reach out and find the assistance you need. Mutual Aid LA Network is constantly updating a Google Sheet with mutual aid resources. You can find it at tiny.cc-malan-fire. The earlier you make a plan, the better off you'll be when every second counts. Praying for LA, preparing, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? HIMS can help. Get started at hims.com/joy. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I'm back.
It is indeed beautiful. So Dr. Cornel West and myself, we've been talking about how muscle memory is a must in this moment of the great triumphs that other freedom fighters that come before us have utilized, have deployed in moments like this. So Dr. West, Robert Kennedy Jr.'s confirmation happening today, and Democrats went in with their questions, just kind of lit the place up. We know vaccinations, he has a different opinion about vaccinations in this country and some other things. And then to add to that, his presidential running mate, Nicole Shanahan, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. She is ultra wealthy. She's in the billionaire class, has threatened. And we've talked about this, right? If money changes you. So this is an example of why having that kind of corporate and big money dominate everything. This is a great example. So she has threatened any senator that votes against his confirmation that she will fund primary challengers and lead robust organizing activities to block these senators from re-election. And she sent a special message to Chuck Schumer, making it known that she helped flip 2 Senate seats in Georgia from red to blue. See, I hope our family and friends is following this. Follow the money. See, the corporate interests of the duopoly, they serve the same masters. Y'all need to underline that, bolded, underscore. They serve the same masters. So Shanahan said, I cut these checks, Schumer, to help you turn from red to blue 2 Georgia Senate seats. That is the Warnock seat and the Alsop seat. She said, don't get it twisted. Now I'm paraphrasing. Don't get it twisted. You better get your folks under control or else. Now, she's threatened some Republicans too, but she said something like, Bobby may play nice, but I'm not playing nice. If you guys don't confirm him, I'm putting my money out there to stop you all who have elections coming up, re-elections in your primaries. Classic 101 family of how the moneyed interests, the elite class, have the ability to do that. Meanwhile, working class people, unless we bring the power of our vote as a collective, we can't pick up the phone to do a video. Matter of fact, she did a video, Doc, and put them on notice on social media. I'm coming for you if RFK Jr. does not get confirmed.
No, but that's gangster though. But you know, there is an illusion of thinking that somehow these rich people can get their way and do anything they want. You see, that's part of their own illusion and delusion. You see, all the money in the world cannot achieve certain ends and aims. It can have influence. It can have impact, and she might have some evidence in terms of money she gave and so forth and so on, or the money that AIPAC gave to your opponent that tried to keep you away from Congress and so forth. No, we know it has influence, but in the end, it's just not as powerful as they think it is. And that's the important thing to keep in mind as well, especially when you have such a low quality product to defend. I mean, you got Brother Kennedy up there confusing Medicaid, Medicare. And even, even senators of both parties looking at it like, well, wait a minute now. Is he talking about the one for the elderly? Talking about one for the poor? What's going on? Medicare for the elderly. Medicaid is for, get your language right. This is the very department you're supposed to be running. And it's hard for you to even know and convey which is which. And that's about as basic and fundamental and elemental as you can get. That's just one small example among others. Of course, then he's had to lie about the vaccines. And I never said that. Well, you said it. Did I say that? Yeah, you wrote that in your book. Then you sound like the U.S. Supreme Court judges. They get up there and just say they for something they're not for, or they're against something that they were for earlier. I mean, all the different lies that surface, it's hard to keep track of that.
It is. It's a kind of a grandma moment I'm feeling right now. You can put truth in the river. 5 days after lie, truth gone, catch up. And truth is catching up with RFK Jr. in these confirmation hearings today. And that the fact that this is, I mean, he has been nominated to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And as you laid out, absolute basic to know the difference between Medicaid and Medicare. Sir, please, sir, you got to know those things.
What are we doing?
And I mean, the dust that's kicking up, the types of questions that he is being asked are absolutely fair questions. And even, I want to note, even sometimes when people feel like questions to nominees may be a little harsh, a little unfair, just to remind folks that it is the Senate's job to determine whether they confer or not, whether they're going to confirm this person or not. They don't have to. Now, by and large, historically, usually the secretary candidates that any president, not just this one, puts out before the Senate, they rough them up a little bit, but by and large, they get confirmed out. I mean, that's
they let them through.
They let them through. I mean, Hexick, they don't let through. I mean, come on.
My God.
They let that brother through.
Ooh, that brother head of the Secretary of Defense means I should be head of the New York Ballet Company tonight. And I moon dance and break dance. I ain't in the ballet, you know what I mean? But no, let me be head of the ballet company. I'm thoroughly qualified. That's about how qualified he is. It's a sad thing. Well, I was a soldier. A whole lot of soldiers have been out there who are not qualified to be Secretary of Defense.
Exactly. And he's just not. And this whole warrior mentality he's bringing back. I'm bringing back the warrior. Listen, war making is not pretty and it's not easy, and we should avoid war at all costs and not put people in positions that are celebrating the making of war.
That's real. That's real. But again, we're watching the collapse of the American empire in real time. And you can just check it step by step by step. And the question becomes, how do we deal with that step-by-step collapse in such a way that we come to the rescue of as many as we can? You remember Martin Luther King said what? I'm integrating into a burning house, maybe. That's what he told Harry Belafonte.
Yes.
What you gonna do, Martin? You gonna be a fireman? Try to save the fire? How you gonna do it? Yeah.
I mean, every time when Mr. Belafonte told that story, I believe it was during the president, it must have been 2007 or so, because I don't know if you remember, Doc, he had Clinton on one side and Obama on the other.
Ooh,
and Mr. Belafonte told that story, and I'm telling you, if Senators Clinton and Obama could have left the stage, they would have. I mean, they wanted to be invisible because they didn't know what Mr. Belafonte was going to say. Oh my goodness! When we come forward,
how you save folk from the fire?
How you save folks from the fire? That's that.
And you remember Belafonte was disinvited from the funeral for Coretta Scott King.
Yeah,
his dear sister.
I know. I mean, it's just
That's
wild.
How thick things have gotten.
That's how thick things have gotten. Ooh, how do you save people from the fire? When we come forward, we will continue that conversation. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
This sandwich is not just spicy, it's flavorful. Hi, this is Patayo. And this is Elsa. And a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy kick. Because the spice comes in at just the right moment. Oh, no. A little thing I love is that cilantro lime sauce. It's a fun blend of zesty and bold. That's what really makes me happy. Are you going to eat all your fries?
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Truth Crushed to Earth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
That you are. So leading people into the fire. Doc, this leads me to the 2 million federal employees that Mr. Trump is offering to buy out. If they resign now, they would be paid through September. They're estimating that people leaving, at least 15% of the workforce, of that particular workforce, 15 to 20% could save $100 billion to taxpayers' money. I can think of other ways to save taxpayers' money, which is change the tax code so that the ultra wealthy, the elites, the ruling class are paying more taxes to be able to fund government. But they are actually, again, cheering this on, looking at the wrong thing.
Well, I wish they'd cut some of that, a significant amount of the military.
That part?
Which so much of our money goes when it comes to taxpayers' money. But, anytime politicians make a promise, anytime Trump makes a promise, you can't believe it. You can't believe it. A crisis will come up, an emergency will come up and say, well, I'm sorry, we can't do that. We got other priorities. Democrats say they're going to pass George Floyd and John Lewis. That's a major priority. No, something else came up. We couldn't do it. Trump telling all these people he's going to provide some kind of resources for them once they leave. You can't trust them. See, once you lose that intangible thing called trust, then people's words are just straw. It just, and that's Trump's life. He just says anything.
Yeah, he does.
See what I mean? He just says anything. So there's no trust there. So people have to be very, very cautious if they sign in bottom lines based on promise.
They really do. And although, most of these employees obviously are at will. That's why unions are so important.
That's
but
right.
When you work for, I worked for the city of Cleveland before I became a Cleveland City Councilwoman, and I was in the cabinet of Mayor Michael R. White, and I was at will. So, hey, Mayor could have walked in any day and say, "Sister Turner, you out." He never did because I was exceptional. But I put that in the parking lot. That could have happened when you are an at-will employee. That can happen. The fact that, again, this chaos-making president that we have gotten some of the American people to believe that somehow these federal workers are slackers, which they are not. They don't slack any more than any other individual in any other profession. In other words, ascribing that to them. And then he makes up this whole picture of just because they're not physically in offices. He said the American people deserve to have federal workers who are in our beautiful federal buildings. Well, genius president, there was something called COVID that happened, which changed the whole landscape of how we work, not just in the United States of America, but in the world.
That's real.
But to make it seem as though these public servants, because that's what they are, they're not elected public servants, they're public servants.
That's right.
People work at the Social Security Administration. You name your federal agency, they're there. They are serving us. And so, again, painting them as the other, similar to what he's doing with immigration.
And that they are disproportionately chocolate, disproportionately black and brown.
That's right. Because federal jobs or government type jobs are those types of jobs gave the primary vehicle for black folks to get into the middle class.
That's true.
And so whether it's the post office, come on now, we know some folks.
Yeah. Oh, that's Uncle Earl. That's my father, my beloved father's brother, my uncle. That's Cynthia and Cheryl and Clifton's uncle, Uncle Earl, post
Uncle
office.
Earl, post office.
Deepest brothers in the post office.
That's
you know what I mean? But the only
Yeah.
reason he was there was because his tremendous talents were not welcome in the private sector. It's called Jim Crow.
Come on. See all that connective tissue, Doc. We have got to get people to understand that. We want you to know that the building is on fire. It's been on fire for a long time. When we come forward, we will continue this conversation about fire, being on fire, fire in the building. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader. Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their programs. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LIVEYOLIFE32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-652-1714. That's 800-652-1714. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-652-1714 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Beautiful indeed. So I cannot believe it. We're coming to the end for today of our show. The time goes so fast. You know, the Trump administration, and just kind of being that bull in the china shop, they said they were going to put a pause on all like federal dollars going out, and oops, they messed that up and had to come back and retract it. And then kudos to our sisters and brothers and family and friends who are filing those lawsuits, Dr. West and family. So a federal judge put a pause. He temporarily blocked a push from President Donald Trump to pause federal funding while his administration conducts an across the board ideological review to uproot progressive initiatives. This is absolute madness. And the press secretary was up there. The press secretary was up there trying to explain away. No. We didn't mean this. We meant that. See, that's what happens when you just moving just to be disruptive and you're not moving with a purpose to provide provision for the people.
That's real. That's very, very real. And we're going to see more of this. We just have to make sure that we are steady in our mission, purpose, vocation, calling, witness. And we recognize when Martin said, "Are we integrated into a burning house?" You see, there's a fire that destroys and devours your soul. And there's a fire that uplifts and sets your soul free.
Yeah.
And we want to be part of that prophetic fire, that Pentecostal fire.
Somebody got a book with that title. By the name of Dr. Cornel West. The prophetic fire. Doc, oh my God, so much. In my Nina notes today, just thinking about what you said, two things came to mind. Be ye steadfast and unmovable. For as much as you know that your labor, abiding, in the works of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain. And then another quote came to mind from Brother Booker T. Washington, that there are two ways to exert one's power. One is by pushing down, and the other is by pulling up. That's what we do right here on Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. We thank you for being with us today. We count it all joy. Cannot wait to see you again. You're listening to us on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA